events in history so horrifying, so catastrophic, that they seem to defy explanation. And in the wake of these tragedies, whispers of supernatural forces emerge, ancient omens that warn of impending doom. Today, we delve into one such tale, a dark, unsettling legend that shrouds the Chernobyl disaster. This is the story of the Blackbird of Chernobyl. The year was 1986 in the small, now abandoned city of Pripyat. It was a place like many others in the Soviet Union, quiet, unremarkable, a model of Soviet industrial pride. Just a few miles away stood the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, a symbol of technological achievement and the future of energy. But what no one knew, what no one could have predicted, was that their future was already marked by an eerie figure. Days before the disaster, strange reports began to surface among the plant workers and residents of Pripyat. They claimed to have seen something terrifying in the skies above Reactor 4, a monstrous creature, black as night, with wings that stretched wide and eyes that glowed red. They called it the Blackbird. It was said to be large, much larger than any normal bird. Some who saw it described a deep, inexplicable fear, a chill that settled in their bones, as though the creature's gaze pierced straight through them. Others spoke of strange phone calls. The lines crackled with static, and disembodied voices whispered warnings. "Leave now, it's coming." The sightings continued, growing more frequent, each encounter more terrifying than the last. Engineers, scientists, and plant workers all spoke of the Blackbird hovering near the plant, always just out of sight, always watching. The tension in the air grew thick. Something was building, something they couldn't explain. Then, on April 26, 1986, it happened. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant's Reactor 4 exploded in a fiery, radioactive nightmare. The once thriving city of Pripyat was engulfed by disaster, the land poisoned by lethal radiation. In the aftermath, as fire crews struggled to contain the flames, and Soviet officials scrambled to hide the truth, those who survived reported a disturbing detail. The Blackbird was nowhere to be found. The sightings had stopped as suddenly as they had begun. The ominous creature that had haunted the workers in their final days had vanished, leaving only destruction in its wake. For those who believed, it was clear. The Blackbird had been a harbinger, a warning that something terrible was coming. But by the time they understood its message, it was already too late. In the aftermath of the disaster, Pripyat became a ghost town, frozen in time. The streets that once bustled with life now stand empty, eerily quiet. Buildings decay in silence, with personal belongings left behind as if the residents were plucked from the city in an instant. Trees have reclaimed much of the land, and wildlife, once driven away by human activity, has returned to roam freely. It's a surreal scene, as nature reclaims what humanity abandoned, but the invisible threat of radiation still lingers in the soil, in the air. Today, Pripyat stands as both a haunting reminder of human hubris and a chilling testament to how quickly life can be erased. Over the years, the legend of the Blackbird of Chernobyl has continued to grow. Some compare it to the Mothman, the creature that appeared before the collapse of the Silver Bridge in West Virginia in 1967. Both figures, they say, are omens, mysterious beings tied to disaster, appearing only in the shadow of catastrophe. But was the Blackbird real, or was it simply a story, born of stress, fear, and the dread that loomed over those working in the heart of a nuclear time bomb? Some skeptics argue that the sightings were nothing more than hallucinations, brought on by the immense pressure and exhaustion felt by the workers in the days leading up to the meltdown. After all, fear can warp reality, making shadows seem darker and the unknown more threatening. Yet, despite the rational explanations, the legend persists. Those who survived remain convinced that something was watching them. Something was trying to warn them. The Blackbird's presence, whether real or imagined, left a mark on their souls, just as Chernobyl left a scar on the world. So, what was the Blackbird? An omen of death? A supernatural force? Or just a figment of frightened minds? We may never know for sure, but one thing is certain. This dark legend serves as a reminder that in the face of impending disaster, even the most rational minds can be haunted by forces they cannot explain.